Hello everyone and welcome back to Arctic Retro. In this video I'm gonna take a look at the Commodore Amiga 500. It's been a while since I did some Amiga stuff and I can feel the urge now. So I got this machine here. It's in bad shape and I just picked it out of storage. I have no idea what's wrong with this machine, if it's working or not, but that's what we're gonna figure out. But it has a broken case. That's one thing I need to fix. Another thing I want to do is to check out some of these expansions for the Amiga. I got a bunch of stuff here and some of the things I haven't even tested. For example, the PISTORM. It's been out for a couple of years, but I actually never had the time to test it. I got one here. That's one thing I'm gonna test out for sure. But first, let's check out the actual machine, and I'm gonna remove this annoying thing I bought on AliExpress. It was fun for exactly 10 seconds. Yeah, here you can see the machine is broken. And actually this was my fault because I dropped it to the floor. But I want to fix it up. I think I have a couple of spare plastic parts inside it. I'm not sure if it's... yeah, it's all loose. I have the RGB to the RGB to SCART cable here, and gonna hook it up. Yeah, here there's a loose parts inside. A couple of other gadgets. I have the Amiga serial and parallel port loop back testers, and I never actually tested that before, and I think you can use that in the Amiga test kit program to check if ports are working or not. This video is sponsored by PCBWay. In my videos I often have the need for some PCBs for my projects, and my favorite PCB manufacturer is of course PCBWay. If you need to have produced your own PCBs, then just head over to PCBWay, where you can upload your Gerber files directly, or you can choose from a wide variety of ready-made PCB designs. And check out PCBWay 8 project design contest, where you can compete with electronics, mechanical and AIoT projects. If you have good ideas there, you can now participate and win great prizes. So go ahead and visit PCBWay.com and check out their services. This machine doesn't have its own power supply, but I'm gonna use this one. This is my homemade power supply. You see it's a 3D printed case here, Arctic Retro 2022. I made a couple of years ago. You can take a look at the video about that if you want. But it's a modern Meanwell power supply inside it. Yeah, I think I collected at least 5 or 6 of these Amiga 500s. Now I need to figure out which ones to keep and if I'm gonna sell some of those. Alright, it's turned on and the power light is on. Let's see. Does it produce a picture? And I hear a floppy drive clicking inside there. Yes, for sure. That's the Workbench 1.3. So the machine seems to be working. Okay then, let's open up the machine first and take a look at the carnage and 2 missing screws. Honestly, I don't know where this machine came from. It's been lying around for a long time. Oh no. So what's all the parts that's loose? There's a plastic bit. There's one screw there and one there. Oh, a little bit of corrosion there. More plastic pieces. Try and shake this a little bit. See if anything else falls out. Yes. Well, what do we have here? Yeah, it looks quite nice and complete. Looks untouched, but it has kind of a lot of dust and stuff. And we have something over here. Is it dirt or corrosion? It seems just like dirt. Something has spilled onto this. Yeah, so this goes into the wash with the top case. Is something broken off there? Is it a screw? It's like this. It's supposed to be like this. Well, actually I got the bits here, but I don't think that's something that can be saved. I only have parts of that. So I think it's better to just make a new small ring like that and 3D print it. So these are the parts that were loose. And the brakes on the top case seems to be rather clean. Yeah. It's going to be a leftover dent there for sure. But these cracks will almost not be visible. Yeah, there's a crack over here in this corner. There's a crack on that side too, there. So it's this one is just barely hanging on. The screw posts here, that one and this one, they're both damaged. And these parts, they appear to belong there. Alright, I take the plastic covers downstairs and clean them up, and before that I was thinking about just testing the floppy disk drive. I'm not sure if it works at all. Oh, that's not right. It doesn't click in. No, this one is definitely not working. I mean, something's wrong with the eject mechanism, but it is ticking, so that means it gets data from the computer, so it's somewhat working. What I was trying to load is the Amiga test kit, which can test the RAM and various other things of the machine. However, since the floppy drive is not working, I can use the diagram for the Amiga. Just replace the kickstart ROM here with that. And this chip has one loose pin because I managed to break it some other time and it's just barely hanging on. Okay, let's see. Yeah. So what do we have here? Yeah, seems to be working fine. I'm barely touching the keys here. Yeah, that's the ROM checksum and RAM test. Obviously it's not going to be able to test the original ROM when it's out. Yeah. Yeah, all channels working. And memory tests. Checking full chip mem area. RGB test. Yeah, looks good. Anyway, that was the initial test and it seems to function okay. A couple of tests with a little bit strange results. Okay, moving on. What's wrong with this drive? Well, first of all, it's pretty dusty and dirty. And it has a couple of rust stains. Hopefully it's just some easy fix on this one. Yeah. So what's up with this eject mechanism? The disc goes in like that. It puts pressure on that plastic piece there. Ah, yeah, now it fell down. Yeah, I think it was just stuck after getting a shock or something. Okay, let's test now. Yeah, it seems to work. Huh. Yeah, this machine is getting better and better pretty quickly. Now this is the Amiga test kit. You've probably seen it before on my videos, other Amiga videos. It's a quite old version from 2023. Still, I'm gonna do a little bit of cleaning on this machine. I see some dust, not a lot. And regular cleaning also means cleaning the screw here for the stepper motor. It is always clogged up with some old grease, and also cleaning the head, which is here. And there. Yeah, that screw there for the stepper motor, it has a lot of old black grease. There's a metal rail down here that the head is sliding on. Just try to clean it off, but it actually looks quite clean. Then I just use a little bit of silicone grease or fat, just a tiny amount here, and also a little bit down there on the rails. The rail, I mean. Yeah, what else is moving? Here, here. And then we have, when the whole cradle falls down, it just falls here. Yeah, and the eject button, it's quite dirty. So I just clean it up. It's all black. Yeah, now it looks good as new. You know, this is one of the things I like with working on old computers. Not only testing and repairing, but actually make them look good again. Future-proofing and keeping them for the future. Alright, so this guy is now done for now. Yeah, those rust stains. Just try to scrape it off. I could use the steel brush all over this, but then it will become very ugly. Okay, a little bit of WD-40. That has anti-rust properties, so it should at least prevent the rust from developing. The motherboard, quite dusty. I'm going to take it down to my garage and use compressed air. I don't want to spread all this dust inside here. And it seems it has had some liquid damage. Something's been running down there, under here. But that's not a lot. Yeah, here's some rust stains too over here. So maybe I'll take out the whole motherboard then, just to inspect underneath it. But the outside and backside does look very nice. No corrosion. Anything nasty under here? No, just dust. Yeah, there's a rust stain over there. I need to take care of that. Yeah, I think I'd use the Dremel for that. Yeah, and there's a rust stain over there. I didn't see that. Yeah, I think that got rid of the most. Yeah, it had a couple of smaller spots here and there with the rust, so I think I just removed most of that now. Yeah, a little bit of WD-40 on this as well. Oops, that's way too much. I just use this then. So now hopefully this is protected for the future. It's the next day and I cleaned up a little bit and now it looks very nice and shiny. Removed the rust and cleaned all the connectors and contacts. I cleaned up the case parts too, but what's not as fun is this. I managed to break off these parts and the plastic was very brittle. I tried to clean it as careful as I could. However, first it broke off over here and then I don't know what I did, but it actually broke off without me almost touching it, so it might have been some weak spot there. I mean, it's right there where the screw fastening is, so yeah, but I'm now gonna try and glue this as good as possible. So to glue this, I'm gonna use cyanoacrylate adhesive, also called CA and also called super glue. And I'm actually gonna try and use some baking soda, because I heard that using baking soda with super glue is very effective. It makes a very strong and hard bond. However, these breaks are quite nice, so I don't want to have too much visible glue or have to sand it down or anything, because that will be ugly. But I'm gonna use the baking soda on the back side, I think. And here's baking soda from my kitchen. Let's do some baking. I need to do this in several steps. I need to glue this first and harden it before I try to glue it onto the rest of the case. I simply think I'm just gonna add some glue, but how am I supposed to avoid it getting glued down to my table? If I fuse them together like this standing, then I risk getting the wrong angle, and you see, if I push it down there's a gap. So I really need to have it lying down to get it flat. Yeah, I'm just gonna use some paper under it. Yeah, obviously I just need a very small amount of baking soda. Not even sure how I'm gonna get that over to, to the place I'm gluing. Alright, I'm gonna add some glue onto the sides and then a little bit on top. Okay, it's probably gonna stick to the paper, but that's okay. Oh, yes, just gonna push it there and add some additional glue on this side. And then add the baking soda. That's gonna be a mess. Yeah, that doesn't work. I think I need some more. Yes, now I leave that for a while. Yeah, just to strengthen it a little bit more, I add some more glue on top of this baking soda. Yeah, it's just been a couple of minutes and this seems to be rock solid already. And the paper is glued down to the back side. Yeah, I just leave it for a while. Meanwhile, I can just fix some of the other issues. There's a crack down here. I just bend it a little bit down and get some glue in between. Hopefully. Then some baking soda. Not easy to get it to stick. seems to work. It solidifies. Then we have these fins. Couple of parts, I couldn't figure out where they came from, so I'm just gonna leave them out. I'm not sure they're necessary. Yeah, this part came out good. Just gonna remove the paper afterwards, but now the big job to glue this one onto there, and how am I supposed to do that without holding it? Yeah, I put something under it, and I'm using some masking tape just to keep everything together. Add some glue. Just gluing one side for now. This makes a lot of mess. Yeah, and then this side. Alright, that was it for now. I'm gonna leave this until tomorrow, then I'm gonna check out the front side and see if I need to do something there. And by the magic of video editing, it's now the next day, and yeah, I think this was a success. This glue is rock hard. It does look nice. I'm gonna file it down a little bit just to make it look a little bit better. But I think this was really a good method. It's so hard I can't even cut it. Now for the other side, I still have this paper residue to get rid of. I'm just gonna scrape it off. There's probably some glue there too, so I'm gonna use the Dremel gently there as well. The crack over here, it's almost not visible. The crack over here, almost not visible. A little bit of glue there. Only place that's a little bit ugly is here, because here a little chip was lost, and yeah, the crack is quite visible there. So I'm gonna try and fix this up as best as I can. Yeah, I wasn't able to completely remove this, but it looks much better now. You can still see the crack. To fix the screw holes, I designed a couple of round plastic pieces here. I just measured the one that are left, and yeah, a couple of them angled, and the one here for the other case part, and yeah, a couple of spares, I don't know. Here's the finished parts, and now I'm just gonna try and glue this onto here. Could be difficult to get them in the correct alignment. There's an angle to them. So I measured on the other screw hole, and this is the distance to the middle of the hole, and yeah, it's actually correct now. Yeah, and I just need to see if the screw goes in without breaking the part. Maybe the hole was a little small. Yeah, it seems to be working. A little bit of super glue first, and then I use the method with the baking soda. Baking soda has been applied. I just used a good amount of super glue around the little button, and then baking soda on top. Let that dry for a while. In the meantime, I was thinking about restoring the keyboard a little bit, but it's quite nice and clean. Took off a couple of keys just to see underneath it, but yes, I don't think I need to do anything here unless there's some bad keys. Alright, everything's cleaned and looks very nice. I repaired this screw post under there that was missing, and the screw posts here, yeah, they look alright, very sturdy. There's a visible crack, I just have to leave it at. Yeah, I think this fits very nicely. If it doesn't, then I'm gonna adjust a little bit. Yeah. So now it's time to do some upgrades on this machine. But first, I'm gonna test another thing. I just want to make sure that the keyboard is 100%. And indeed it is. Now, I have tested a lot of Amigas, but I have never been able to test the serial and parallel port, as you can do here in Amiga Test Kit. But now I got these, that's loopback adapters for the Amiga serial port and parallel port. This is the serial and this is the parallel. So I'm going to insert those. Obviously turn off the machine first. Those are in and they both light up. So what do we get now if we press F9? Loopback serial test. Blue probing, red bad, green good. So I guess that's good then. I guess the pins with no color, they're not in use. And then the parallel test. Yeah, nice. There's even a dongle build guide in here. I've never seen that before. The next easy upgrade you can do is to upgrade the Kickstart ROM, and this machine has the original 1.3, but it's this chip, and you can just replace it with a newer variant. However, the newer ROMs are not for free, you need to buy them. This is the Amiga Forever 3.1 ROM, and I bought this, so it has a license key, and obviously I masked that so you don't steal it from me. So what does the upgraded ROM actually give you? Well, to be honest, I'm not sure. But it is necessary for some new features, and if you want to run the newest workbench, insert this then. And now we should see something else on the Kickstart boot screen. No, I didn't get it to work. I don't know. I think I tested it before, but there's only black screen and no disk activity, so I think it's bad. So I just need to insert the old ROM then. And that was the only one I have, so we just have to get by without it. Anyway, the next thing I want to test out is the RGB to HDMI, which will give you HDMI output from the Amiga 500. For that I need a mouse, and this machine had this mouse. It's incredibly dirty. Buttons seems to be clicking, but I'm not sure if it's working or not. Obviously you don't need a mouse to install this, but I just wanted to test the sysinfo, but seems it didn't want to load it. No, it loads. Okay. Because later I want to install the PISTORM, so we can get some performance out of this. Yeah, it's very, very bad. Very hard to move to the right. Okay, let's check the speed. No, yeah. So I need to take a turn on that mouse, try to do a little bit service on it to make it work. So here you see the actual speed numbers for this machine. That's this machine, it's this red bar. And here it's compared to an Amiga 600, Amiga 2000, 1200, 2500, Amiga 3000, Amiga 4000. So you see the bars here, the speed difference. Let's see if I can improve the image quality on this machine. Now it's connected to my TV via SCART RGB, and it's relatively good. There's a little bit of bleeding and a little bit of shaking on some colors, but otherwise it looks quite nice. But this TV has an HDMI input, so it should be possible to improve it even more. And that's this little dongle. It's called RGB to HDMI, and it's made for the Amiga. So you place the original Denise chip into this socket, and then you place this socket where the Denise chip is. This supports the Super Denise or the Denise chip. In this machine it's obviously the original Denise. There's a GitHub project for this, and here you can find the latest firmware, and the latest one was from February last year, so I think this is newer than the one I have. Yeah, so I'm simply going to download this release. Yeah, just copy the whole thing. So what's this then? Well, it's actually a Raspberry Pi Zero, and the Raspberry Pi Zero, it's actually a complete computer into this little card here, and it has a memory card, it has some kind of ARM chip, it has HDMI output, yeah, some USB ports here, which you can use to power it, obviously. And on top of that, there's this hat that sits on top of it. That's the adapter where you put in the Denise or the Super Denise chip. There's a jumper there where you can select the Denise, which obviously this machine has. Yeah, so out with the Denise chip. Oh, it's very stuck in there. I need something bigger. However, one thing I don't like with this adapter is that it uses these very thick pin headers, and if you try to push those down into the socket, you will definitely destroy the socket. But you can use it with this then. However, if you want to go back to the original Denise chip, then it might not work anymore. But what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to destroy another socket. So I have a spare one here. I just push this one inside the socket. It's going to build a little bit, and then the Denise chip goes into here. And in with this one, it can be a little bit hard to get into a regular socket. Yeah, you really need to push it, and that's why you destroy it. Before I connect the HDMI, I just want to test if it still works with the regular RGB output, and it does, as you can see. You don't need to power the Raspberry Pi because it gets its power now from the machine. Obviously this is not the best practical solution, but for now I'm just testing. Turn on the machine. Yeah, now I just took it out and I just powered it on, and we can see this one. So it says here CPLD not fitted. Yeah, there you go. Now it works. I don't know what I did, but I took it out and inserted it again, but seems like we have some issues here. Yeah, there's obviously some settings you can do, and I'm gonna do a little bit of research about that and then I'll be back. So that's not good, but this RGB to HDMI has some adjustment opportunities. There's an on-screen display if you touch a button, where you can set the mode and all sorts of parameters. However, this RGB to HDMI has no buttons, so how are we gonna adjust it then? Well, there is a way. You can connect a keyboard to the Raspberry Pi and then be able to activate the on-screen menu and change the settings. But that's only if I find a converter from USB micro to regular USB. From a distance it may look okay, but it's not, as you can see here. But I didn't find a converter, so there's an easier way, depending on what you have. You see under here, there's 2 pin headers, and that's the place where you can hook up a switch. I don't really have a switch, so I'll just hook up these wires here. And then I can just short these to simulate a button. Let's see if that works. Oh. Screen capture. It actually captures the screen to the memory card. That's nice. If I touch one quick, capture number 5. But if you touch and hold, then it comes up with the on-screen menu. And as you can see, that is quite crisp and clear. However, this seems to be set up for Amiga, but doesn't really work. If you want to navigate in the menu, just do a short click. And if you want to activate the menu selection, do a long click. But I have no idea why this issue occurs and what I need to do to actually get it okay. So it says here profile Amiga. I'm just trying out things here, settings. This is a 1-bit mode, and now the picture is kind of stable, but colors off. I tried different settings with resolution and everything, but nothing seems to work. So I just wonder if there's some bad contact or anything like that. Something simple. No, still the same. Very unstable. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just gonna clean the socket a little bit. Not only is it unstable, but the colors are also way off. It does output a regular RGB signal at the same time, so we can see that it's perfectly fine there, but HDMI not so good. Nope, I simply cannot get this to work. I've been through all the kinds of settings now, but it's still the same. I'm pretty sure there's a lot of Amiga experts out there that want to comment on this video and tell me what I did wrong, and that's alright. I like that. Nevertheless, I showed you what you can do. I'm not sure why it's not working properly. It could be the NIS chip, obviously. Could be something wrong with something else in the machine. I don't know. But anyway, I'm gonna take this out because now we're gonna try out something else. The final thing I'm gonna check out is the PISTORM. I heard a lot about it. I've seen it in several videos. I never actually tested it, and I got this a while back as a donation to my channel, so thank you, John from Bergen. And it's a software-based accelerator for the Amiga, and it too uses a Raspberry Pi Zero, I think, I hope. So I'm actually going to use the same one that I have to my RGB to HDMI. I'm just going to replace the software on the memory card, and then this should be up and running. Hopefully. This gives you a lot of opportunities based on software. You can define lots of stuff, and of course RAM and processing speed. So I'm just going to need to download the latest release of the EMU68. That's downloaded, so now I just extract it here and copy it over to the memory card. And of course this replaces the original CPU. Yeah, it's this way. No need for extra socket here. This is placed the correct orientation straight over the module. Of course there's a ton of configuration opportunities here, but I'm gonna just start it up straight out of the box, see what happens. Yeah, no luck. I saw a little yellow flash, that was all. Yeah, my luck. I get into trouble with this too. Alright, so if I just connect the Raspberry Pi to the TV, and now it's supposed to show some text or something, but it doesn't. So that makes me wonder, is it the Pi that's actually faulty? Is that the problem we had all the time? Anyway, I have another variant here. This should be the same, but it has the contacts on the other side of the board. Yeah, the memory card goes here. Any luck now? Nope. Do I have the right software? Okay, so this is a bit silly. I did some more basic research, which I should have done before I started. Turns out that this Raspberry Pi Zero, it's the first version, and it doesn't have the correct ARM CPU to be able to run PISTORM or the MU68 at least. I need a newer variant called the Raspberry Pi Zero W, which has the V8. However, I fitted in a regular Raspberry Pi. I think this is a 3B plus or something, and that one should work just as well. And it turns out you don't have to make any operating system on your memory card first. You simply just copy the files, which I initially downloaded. So I'm going to turn this on now. Yeah, the disk drive started. Yeah, I have connected the HDMI output as well as the RGB out, so it got into HDMI on my TV. Let's change to SCART. Yeah, look at that, that actually works. And I had the Amiga test kit inside the drive, so it booted. Yeah, now it says 68040 OCS PAL. Let's check out the memory. Yeah, right, 860 megabytes fast RAM. Yeah, I'm gonna insert RAM expansion that was here from before. I get a little bit more chip RAM. Yeah, the keyboard is not hooked up, so I need to use the mouse. No more chip RAM. Yeah, slow. Half megabyte of slow RAM. I'm not sure what slow RAM actually is. There's obviously a bunch of things you can do with the PISTORM, and I'm not gonna do a lot with it. I'm just gonna test it briefly. There's a lot of variants and a lot of advanced stuff you can do, so it's almost not like an Amiga anymore. I'm gonna check out the sysinfo now, see what it says about the speed. I added the 3.1 Kickstart ROM to the PISTORM memory card, so it's actually replacing the original ROM, I think. Anyway, what do we see here? Yeah, now it's identified as 68040 and also has 2 FPUs, 860 megabyte, 512 slow RAM and 512 chip RAM. Let's see speed then. So this should be same speed or faster than an A4000 then. Well, it's a bit faster than an A4000. Remember, we had around 500 dry stones on the original CPU. Now it says 840,000. Oh my goodness. So we're actually 46 times faster than an Amiga 4000 with 68040. I know you can emulate the 68060 on this, but I think there is an issue with the clock frequency then. I'm not really sure. Anyway, I got a tip about trying out the CaffeineOS for the Amiga, for the PISTORM actually, and yeah, I downloaded it. It was around 64 gigabytes, and it's supposedly full of games and tools and everything, and it's a little bit more modern operating system than, or desktop system than the Amiga Workbench, as I understand it. Let's check it out. And this one actually outputs via the HDMI output, so yeah, you could argue that it's actually not an Amiga anymore. It's more like the Raspberry Pi runs the OS. Yeah, here it came up. Huh. How are you today? This is Amiga speaking. So it is using the Amiga, the floppy disk drive is working. However, it obviously has a large part of the memory card as a hard drive now, and the graphics, obviously, resolution is good. And the funny thing is, if I turn off the machine but leave on the Raspberry Pi, which I did now, it actually still works, and the mouse even works, even if it's connected to the Amiga. Depending on how strong your power supply is, you can run this without power. I mean power to the Raspberry Pi, which I'm doing now. So now it says 68 PISTORM on HDMI. How about if we turn to the output of the actual Amiga?
How are you today? This is Amiga speaking. Welcome to CaffeineOS.
Yeah, it's talking. Well, the output of the Amiga RGB is just a gray screen. However, this looks very nice. I didn't hook up the keyboard yet. There's the OS, utilities, system, tools, workbench startup, MCP. I don't know what all this is, but and there's a big menu on top here. You can go into A500 mode, boot into A500. Yeah, not gonna do that now. Let's see what's on this disk then. Stuff, 3D. Yeah, lots of programs, music, pictures, nature. Oh really? Oh my god. That's almost like that's really good on an Amiga. Well, is it really an Amiga? And we have some kind of menu down here. It has a drive icon here with a Windows symbol on. How do I exit out of this picture? I'm not sure. Then of course we have games, and I'm pretty sure these are maybe AGA chipset based games. You have some workbench games here. Yeah, not exactly exciting. VHD load Mark 3. Then I had to switch to SCART again to get the graphics from the real Amiga. But it's kind of fun. You actually need two monitors if you have this. You have HDMI running the operating system, and on the RGB out you have the Amiga. Anyway, I didn't connect the keyboard, so I can't do anything because there's no room for the keyboard now with that large Raspberry Pi on top. Yeah, that was kind of fun. I'm thinking maybe that the Raspberry Pi Zero I had was the reason that the RGB to HDMI didn't work. I'm not sure. I'm out of time now for this video, so I cannot test that. Anyway, that was it for this video. I fixed one machine. It was actually working electrically and electronically, but sometimes you need to fix the case as well, and I dabbled a little bit around and used way too much time on problem solving with some modern accessories for the Amiga. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video, and thanks again for watching, and special thanks to my patrons. See you next time. Bye bye.